You're out here in the night with the enemies out and about. You don't know what to expect. You need to have the best equipment on. I'd be wearing this, and whatever happens by the end of your adventure, you are going to be A-OK. So I think if Tom Cruise's character Ethan Hunt had to wear a new Casio watch for a more recent Mission Impossible movie, he would be wearing this new Casio DW291, the successor. Well, it's not new, but it's newer than what it's replacing. The successor to the DW290 that Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt wore in the very first Mission Impossible movie. So I bought this watch recently, and I really, really love it. First thing I'm going to do is show you this on the wrist. It wears so good, and then I'm going to go through the features and just talk about the watch. So this watch is not a G-Shock, but I've watched several YouTube reviews about this watch. I've seen quite a few sort of YouTube videos talking about the watch that it is a successor to, and I often hear it kind of being talked about as the next best thing to a G-Shock, and I think that is probably a pretty good assessment. Now, I don't have a G-Shock, but it's often said to be kind of G-Shock-ish in sort of size, and I gotta tell you, it wears beautifully on my wrist. I love the way that it wears. I don't feel like it's too big at all. I mean, this thing is measuring on the Casio specs at like 50 by 50, which seems enormous, but I really think that you have to be careful kind of comparing that to how traditional analog round watches are kind of sized, because it doesn't feel too big at all to me. Now, it does have a strong wrist presence, and I do have a preference for that. I don't really like small, kind of formal, dressy style watch. It's just not really reflective of my lifestyle, so I do like a kind of strong watch that has a strong wrist presence. I'm trying to show this a lot at an angle, because for some reason it's hard when you get dead on the camera that's blocking some of the light. But as you can see there, it doesn't overhang my wrist. I think it is actually pretty well proportioned, and I would say I have about a medium wrist size. There you can see how thick it is. Now for specifics, I have a 6.9-inch wrist going all the way around, and I think a more important measurement, my wrist from top to bottom, this surface area here, is 2.2 inches. Now if you go to Omega's website, they actually have a little chart there where you can compare, see how different watches will wear on a 2-inch wrist, a 2.2-inch wrist, and a 2.4-inch surface area wrist size. So at least for Omega, I would have a medium wrist, and this wears very, very well on it. Now, your mileage is going to vary, and of course, you might have different personal preference for how things look. But if your wrist size is smaller than 2.2 inches here, or you do not have a 6.9-inch wrist going around, if it's smaller than that, then you might want to try it on or see if it's going to wear a little bit differently, and maybe it will be a little bit large. I just can't say. All I can say is that for me, it feels great. It's a strong presence of a watch. I feel like I am a Marine in a Aliens movie. It is a little bit of a tactical looking watch. I do feel like I can take on just about anything life can throw at me. I mean, look, you're in a real life Dungeons and Dragons. You're out here in the night with the enemies out and about. You don't know what to expect. You need to have the best equipment on. I'd be wearing this, and whatever happens by the end of your adventure, you are going to be A-OK. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because I'm going to be doing a lot more watch content on this channel. Now, the resin strap is very, very comfortable. It does have this little kind of shock absorber design that G-Shocks, I believe, have, where it stays kind of curved up here. It does not lay flat. I've seen a couple YouTube videos talking about that. And one thing that's a little bit different about the strap that I do want to note from what I'm used to is it does have these little, as a part of that design where it won't lay flat, where it's designed to absorb some shock if it's dropped. As a result, it has these little divots here, and you will notice them when you first put it on if you're not used to them. I was aware of them, and I was cognizant of it pushing in or just kind of being there. Separate from the rest of the band, but I have to tell you, once you stop thinking about it, if you're just wearing it regularly, it doesn't bother you at all, and it's something I'm quickly getting used to. Just for comparison, here's my T300 Plus from Timex. See, it doesn't have those divots. It does lay flat. It's a little bit of a different design, and also these make the case of the watch wear just a little bit higher on the wrist, so it doesn't kind of like fall down and dig into it. It does give it a little bit of lift there on the top of the wrist. Now let's go through the features of this watch. So I love the looks of this watch just overall. I got this black version with the gold font and red. I just think it looks really, really great. You've got these silver screws here, and then these buttons, man, these feel so, so good. I love pushing these buttons. They are so much of a nicer feeling than I guess a cheaper Casio, or one that doesn't have these offset buttons. They feel better than the buttons on my Timex. It's not a bad feeling on my Timex, but they do feel better. It's just a great ergonomic design here. Now, what you're looking at here at the very front, you've got your regular time with the day of the week and the date, and a little analog time. And several YouTube videos have talked about how this is very hard to see, this little analog display up here, and I agree with that. You do have to look at it very closely. The hour and minute markers are obscured by the 12, 3, 6, and 9 if it happens to be, say, like 9 o'clock or something. Now, if you go over to the next function, you have your second time, which is also world time. So I have mine set to basically California time, 3 hours behind where I am on the East Coast of the United States. But you can hit this search function, and you can see it'll go through several time zones. I think it says right here how many world times you have. So you have 31 time zones, 48 cities, 10-year battery on this as well. So I have that set to basically what California time is. You can go to London, Paris, Rome, Moscow, Tokyo, just all kinds of different time zones. And then you've got your alarm function. You do have 5 alarms on here that you can set, and then you can turn the signal on and off. That's what this last one is for. So I have my signal off, but you can turn it on like that. You can see the signal popped up and then went off. And you can also turn off this beep every time you hit a button. I have to look up the instructions how to do that. I do plan to do that. I have a timer set for 30 minutes. Typical, 30-minute lunch break. Then you can just go right over here. It saves it, and then you can hit the button and start timing that. So I think that is really useful. I did buy this watch originally for work. I actually did not anticipate how much I would actually like this watch just as a casual everyday watch. And so I think I'm actually going to get a cheaper watch for work and just wear this one as like a nice daily beater watch. You got a stopwatch, very simple stopwatch function, and then it goes back to your time 1. Now your time 1 does have 4 time zones that you can save right here for quick reference. So you see I have Tokyo, New York City, I don't know what that one is, and London. That YEA just gives me the 3 hours before, basically the California time that I like to keep track of. And that's it. Those are all the functions of the watch. You do have a light function here. You can turn that, you can toggle that light between 1.5 seconds and 3 seconds. I like to just have it as 1.5 seconds. It's all I need just to see the time if I happen to be in the dark. It's not a great backlight. It is a very standard backlight that you see on a lot of these Casio watches. Summary of this watch, it feels great. It's extremely comfortable. If your wrist size is correct, it does not wear super big. It wears really nice, very strong, masculine presence. And I like all the features of the watch. The analog feature here, I think, is the only real downside because it's not very functional to me. But it is there. I can just kind of live with it. And I guess you could get used to it as long as the hour and minute hands don't happen to be obscured. I do not think this is an ugly watch at all. I think this is... I saw the Time Teller's review saying this was an ugly watch, and there are various opinions on YouTube you can find about this watch, but I don't think it's an ugly watch at all. I think it's a very strong looking watch. I think it has good wrist presence. It looks like it's a tool watch that's going to get the job done. I think you can, it's got 200 meters of water resistance. It does have a mineral display here, crystal over here. Now it's hard to show in this video, but if you show it at an angle too, see it kind of gets a little bit dark because I don't have the right lighting, I think, for this. There we go. I can shine it that way. You can see there's really nice depth with that inner plastic piece there, which is placed just high enough over the digital display to cast a little shadow there. So there's nice depth to this display that I really appreciate. And I'm really happy with the watch. Again, I'm going to get a cheaper work watch, actually. I'm just going to wear this every day. I'm really, really smitten with this watch, especially having a mineral glass display. I'm going to try to, even though it's tough and rugged, it'll do the job. I kind of want to baby it a little bit and just kind of wear this as one of my main watches in my rotation. So I want to hear what you all think about this watch. You can get this on Casio's website. You can get it on Amazon. I bought mine from Casio's website, and I believe MSRP was like $42, right around there. Great watch for the money. A G-Shock is not for me. I do not need a G-Shock, but this gives me just about the toughest specs I think you can get on a Casio before you get up to the G-Shock range.